One of the main features of the version 1.4 of Zenless Zone Zero is a free S-rank unit, Asaba Harumasa, and despite being free, he's one of the most fun characters I ever played, and the flexibility of his additional ability makes him a solid pick for a lot of team composition. Even new or returning players can easily make use of him by using some of the free units available in the game. In any case, welcome back. Today we're going to do a deep dive into Harumasa. We'll talk about his kit, rotation, builds, and team compositions, everything, so you can get ready and start using him in your teams. Before we begin, I just want to remind you that this footage and calculation comes from the test server, so numbers are not final and could change on the official release. Harumasa is an electric attacker from Section 6 who brings a unique gameplay style by mixing both ranged and melee moves. His mobility is one of the best I've seen in this game, and his damage potential is super solid. Thanks to all the crit stats he gets for free, you can easily hit huge numbers of crit rate and damage on his dash attack, which is going to be your main source of damage, by the way. While fun, the unique mechanics of his kit requires a bit of knowledge in order to maximize your damage, but once you understand it, it's actually way easier than it looks. So let's jump into his kit so you can understand how he works. While his basic attack is an important tool for your combo, it is a bit underwhelming. It is a 5-hit combo that has long animations, and most of your attacks will deal physical damage. If you shoot while trying to move, you can do a quick dash in the direction while shooting a physical damage arrow. The last 2 hits deal electric damage, and the last hit is quite important for your rotation. It generates 2 electric quivers, or 6 if it's the first time you use it after a chain attack. All of your gameplay revolves around these quivers, so we're going to talk about it now. All of these blue orbs you're seeing on your screen are your electric quivers and are part of your basic attack, Hautonoya. While they are quite important for your rotation, the damage they actually deal to the enemy is minimal, and what actually matters is how they work. You generate quivers on some specific skills, or in case there's no quivers on the field, you can generate 6 quivers when any members of your squad applies an anomaly to the enemy. Whenever these quivers hit an enemy, it applies Electro Prison to them, stacking up to 8 times and lasting for 10 seconds, with new triggers resetting the duration. As long as an enemy has at least 2 stacks of Electro Prison, they are considered to be X-Marked. This is an effect that is related to your dash attack, so hold down a little bit because I'll talk about it later. All you need to remember is that electric quivers will mark down enemies, and once they have enough marks, they are X-marked. You can have a maximum of 6 quivers on the field, and if you happen to summon extra quivers, you trigger the ones closest to your current target. You can also trigger and shoot these quivers by using Falling Feather. Falling Feather is also part of a basic attack, and you can trigger it by holding down your basic attack button or holding your special attack button after you use your basic attack 5, special attack, EX special, or a chain attack. The only difference here is that you can aim using the basic attack button, but if you use the special attack button to trigger it, it's going to shoot forward. Usually it's going to be in the direction of your current target, but in a multiple enemy scenario, it might be wiser for you to use the basic attack version. Now let's talk about your dash attack. While by default it is really underwhelming and deals physical damage, as long as there's X-marked enemies on the field, Harumasa changed his dash attack to a slash variation. To make things easier for you to understand, I'll call it by enhanced dash attack. You rush towards the closest X-marked enemy and start slashing them, dealing electric damage. Every time you hit them with your enhanced dash attack, you consume 2 stacks of Electro Prison, and once they have less than 2 stacks, they won't be considered X-marked anymore. This enhanced dash attack is a 3-hit combo, and once you start looping it, it repeats from the second hit instead of the first one. You can also chain any Falling Feather to this enhanced dash attack by simply pressing your basic attack button after Falling Feather. Quite important to know that once there's no more X-marked enemies on the field, you go back to use your basic attack, but with a huge skip. You start from your 4th hit, meaning that we're still dealing electric damage, and in case you still have the chain attack extra quivers, you can easily generate them after finishing your enhanced dash attack. Basically speaking, this is your core gameplay. Mark down enemies and use your enhanced dash attack to deal damage to them. There's a lot of other interactions with your enhanced dash attack and also quivers generation that I'm going to explain through his kit. Your dodge counter, while it deals some good amount of damage, it won't offer any basic attack skips, so once you finish it, you're back dealing physical damage. His quick assist is really quick, but that's pretty much everything. Some electric damage, but no basic attack skips. However, his assist follow-up is really interesting. It deals good damage, but also lets you jump to his basic attack tree, cutting down some of the animations and physical damage. His special attack, as usual on most units, is really basic and not worth using, but his EX special is really important for you. Not exactly because of the good damage it deals to the enemy, but because it generates 6 quivers for you. You can also keep holding the EX special button or your basic attack button to link into your Falling Feather as soon as the EX special animation finishes. Saving your energy for at least one EX special during your stun window is a must, since it allows you to hit the maximum number of slashes during your stun window. We'll talk about the rotation later, so let's finish explaining his kit. His chain attack deals some great damage, while also covering a great area. But the most important points are the quivers generation and the interaction with your next 5th basic attack, increasing the amount of quivers it generates from 2 to 6. While his ultimate doesn't generate any quivers, it deals some great amount of damage. The animation is quite fast, so I highly recommend using it whenever possible. Finally, let's talk about his core skill, which is quite straightforward. It increases the crit rate of your enhanced dash attack, and every time it triggers a critical hit, you get 12% extra crit damage on your enhanced dash attack. You can stack up to 6 times, and every slash can give you up to 3 stacks, meaning that with a 100% crit rate, you get 72% crit damage on your 3rd enhanced dash attack. Thanks to all these crit stats, his enhanced dash attacks are your main source of damage, and you only need 75% crit rate to hit 100% crit rate on his enhanced dash attack. Since you already get crit rate when leveling up his core, it is quite easy for you to hit that number. As for his additional ability, it requires either a stunner or an anomaly unit, making him super flexible when it comes to team building. It increases your damage by 40% when you hit enemies under an attribute anomaly or stunned enemies. This applies to all your damage, meaning that even your ultimate can benefit from this extra 40% damage. Also, whenever you hit Falling Feather to an enemy under attribute anomaly or stunned, you apply 2 extra stacks of Electro Prison to them. So for example, if there's 6 quivers on the field and you hit a stunned enemy with Falling Feather, they get a total of 8 stacks of Electro Prison, meaning that you can do a total of 4 enhanced dash attacks before exhausting the stacks. This means that for skill upgrade priority, as usual, level up his core whenever possible, since the extra crit stats on your dash attack are really helpful. After that, as you can imagine, his dash attack will be the top priority, because it's your main source of damage and all of your kit revolves around it. Then go for ultimate, basics, and EX special, and finally your assist. You're not going to use them that much, so there's no reason for you to upgrade them. Now that you understand his kit, let's try to break it down on some key points. Harumasa kit has some really interesting mechanics, but despite how complex it seems, it's actually quite simple. Thanks to his additional ability requirements, he's flexible and can fit in a lot of team composition, from free-to-play to premium options. Despite the synergy with anomaly units, he's best used as a burst DPS. That's because outside of his enhanced dash attack, his damage is quite low, especially because his basic attack has a lot of physical damage on it. Since he can generate some extra quivers when any squad members apply an anomaly to the enemy, he can deal some damage even outside of the stun window. And due to the decibel changes, this is actually quite interesting because it allows Harumasa to generate some extra decibels for both him and his squad. However, his anomaly buildup is really low, and this means you need an anomaly unit to consistently trigger this quiver generation. For rotation, things can get quite complicated depending on how much damage you want to squeeze on a single stun window. All these rotations I'll mention here are for the stun window, meaning that there's a time limit and every second matters if you want to optimize your damage. For the most basic rotation, you start with your chain attack, chain it into a falling feather, then you use your enhanced dash attack 4 times. You use your EX special into a falling feather once again, then do another 4 enhanced dash attacks, and finish it off with your ultimate. If you don't have your ultimate available, you can also use basic attack 5 to generate 6 quivers, apply falling feather again, and go for another 4 enhanced dash attacks. This way you can hit up to 12 enhanced dash attacks on a single stun, or 8 with your ultimate. But if you want to optimize your rotation, you can start the chain attack sequence by using falling feather into an enhanced dash attack. Since falling feather isn't a heavy attack, it won't trigger chain attack, and this allows you to save some time from the stun window. Then, since the enemy is already X-marked, you can just start dash attacking after the chain attack. Just remember that you get 40% damage against stunned enemies, so do your best to fit your ultimate on the stun window whenever possible. If you happen to trigger Anomaly outside of the stun window, you can also swap to Harumasa and use the quivers it generated to deal some extra damage. But avoid spending all your energy, since it allows you to hit 12 enhanced dash attacks on the stun window when optimizing your rotation or not using your ultimate. Now let's talk about the build options. Thunder Metal 4-piece is the best choice for Harumasa because it offers 10% electric damage, and as long as the enemy shocked, you also get 28% combat attack. Since he already gets a lot of crit stats, 28% combat attack is quite huge for your damage. However, since Harumasa's anomaly buildup is quite low, it requires running an electric anomaly unit, a mono electric team, or timing your shocks properly. Not to mention, shock usually only lasts for 10 seconds, meaning that the final seconds of the stun window won't benefit from the Thunder Metal effect. If you want a more universal option, then Hormone Punk 4-piece works quite well with Harumasa, as long as you play him purely as a burst DPS. The issue here is the same as Thunder Metal. The effect only lasts for 10 seconds, so you need to consider using your ultimate earlier or you risk losing some damage. You also need to take care with your swaps, because if you happen to swap to Harumasa before the stun window, you risk putting Hormone Punk onto cooldown. Another option, but really underwhelming when compared to both previous options, is Woodpecker Electro 4-piece. While consistent in any team composition and playstyle, most of the time you only get 18% combat attack, which is way below Hormone Punk 25% and Thunder Metal 28%. As for the final 2-piece effect, you can pick any offensive option, such as Hormone Punk or Astral Voice, Thunder Metal, Woodpecker, Blade Song, and Puffer Electro. All of them works pretty fine, so just focus on finding the one with best stats and go for it. For disc stats, disc 4 is crit rate or crit damage depending on your current stats. Just remember that when looking at your stat page, you won't see effects such as Harumasa score or Nicole's Mindscape 6, so plan around these extra crit rate buffs and avoid going over 100%. The only reason for you to go for attack is if you find a perfect disc with crit stats. For disc 5, electric damage is the best option for Harumasa, but in case you have a lot of damage sources or you're running Rina in your team, then penetration is going to be the best option. Finally, for disc 6, there's only a single option available: attack. Anomaly Mastery is pointless, and energy generation will hurt your DPS quite a lot, so no reason to go for any other option. As for substats, your top priority is the holy trinity of crit rate, crit damage, and attack. While crit stats are your top priority, all of them are really good stats, and you need to balance them properly. Just remember to not go above 100% crit rate, otherwise you are wasting potential. After these 3 stats, your best stats are going to be flat attack, flat penetration, and down below, anomaly proficiency. Now for weapons, as you can expect, Harumasa's signature engine will be the best choice, offering 48% crit damage, up to 20% crit rate, and 40% electric damage on your dash attack. Harumasa can easily benefit from all these stats to boost his damage, so of course this is going to be the best choice for him. Nekomata's signature can be a strong pick, but since you need to position yourself behind the enemy and time is super limited on the stun window, it can be quite a problem for you. Brimstone is a solid pick on any attacker, But one of the best free options is a new weapon we'll get for free on the 1.4. It offers combat attack and doubles the effect if the enemy is under an attribute anomaly. This fits pretty well with your Thunder Metal set, so if you are already playing around it, you can easily benefit from Marcato Desire as well. Some other free-to-play options include Starlight Engine, which requires finishing your chain sequence on your support to trigger a quick assist to Harumasa, and Cannon Rotor, which is a crit rate weapon, and while it benefits from your high attack, the damage is fixed and won't benefit from the crit and damage stats. For Mindscapes, his Mindscape 1 is a huge quality of life and damage upgrade. It increases the maximum stacks of Electro Prison and doubles the amount of stacks your Electro Quivers apply to the enemy. This allows for a smooth rotation, and since it removes the need to reapply marks on the enemy, you get some extra time to slash them and deal damage. Mindscape 2 offers a 50% damage boost for your next 7 slash after your chain attack or your ultimate, meaning that to fully benefit from it, you need to use your ultimate right in the middle of your rotation. Also, depending on your weapon choice and damage saturation, the damage increase of this Mindscape can change a little bit. Mindscape 4 makes Mindscape 2 rotations even better by applying max stacks of Electro Prison to all enemies on the field after your ultimate. It also generates extra decibels after every slash, increasing the chances to get ultimate on every stun window. Sadly, the damage increase here is quite minimal, and as you can see, Mindscape 3 and 5 offers high damage potential than Mindscape 4. That's because the stun duration is somewhat fixed, and this means that there's a limit on the time you can use to deal damage to the enemy. So Mindscape 4 is not going to increase your damage that much. Finally, Mindscape 6 offers a 50% electric resistance ignore after a quiver hits an enemy under attribute anomaly or stunned. It also gives a huge burst of damage every 12 triggers, which means that every 6 quivers you hit on the enemy, you get to trigger this effect. Since it's extra electric damage, it can benefit from crit stats and electric damage as well. When it comes to pulling recommendations, I personally recommend going for his Mindscape 1 before pulling his weapon. There's plenty of other great options, and since it simplifies your stun rotation, it leaves some extra energy for doing damage even outside of the stun window. While Mindscape 2 is a good damage boost for you, when compared to the stats it gives to his signature offers higher value. So after Mindscape 1, go for his signature weapon. Then you can go for Mindscape 2, and after that, I would say that the damage gain starts to minimize, and you should only go forward if you're looking to go all the way to Mindscape 6 with his signature at phase 5. When it comes to team building, Harumasa's high flexibility allows him to play in a lot of team composition. You just need to make sure your team composition will benefit from the disc set you're using on Harumasa. For example, you can easily go for a pure free-to-play team using Envy and Nicole with him. Nicole at higher Mindscapes will offer crit rate, and Harumasa can easily benefit from it. The only issue is that using Thunder Metal can be quite hard on this team. If you own Rina, you can upgrade Nicole to Rina and benefit from the penetration stacking and increased shock duration for your Thunder Metal as well. A good upgrade for MB would be Qingyi, which offers some huge damage increase for burst DPS units. On the same page offer mono electric team compositions, you can also remove a stunner and run an anomaly unit, such as Grace or Yanagi instead. It comes down to your preference, but remember that this team will lack Daze potential, meaning that you won't benefit that much from chain attacks and stun multipliers. You can also run other stunners with Harumasa, but remember that Thunder Metal won't be a viable choice here. Koleda is one of the fastest stunners in the game, and you can easily pair Koleda with Lucy for some attack buffs. Lighter can be used instead, and the extra duration on the stun window can increase your DPS output. However, outside of the days and increased stun duration, Harumasa won't benefit from Lighter's buff. You can also run Piper Lucy in case you want a second DPS on your team, and Piper works quite well staying on the field. She can trigger anomalies on the enemy and generate quivers for Harumasa, while also offering some damage buffs for your whole team. Not to mention, Assault increases the days received by the enemy, meaning that it can also help reaching the stun window even without a stunner in your team. And finally, for Bangboos, I would pick any option that can help with some extra anomaly build-up depending on your team composition. but I wouldn't recommend going for a full chain attack since it can lower your stun timer and reduces the number of slashes you can hit on the enemy. You can also run some utility Bangboos such as Energy Regeneration Bangboos, Night Boo, and even Red Mokus or Magnetic Boo to help you gather enemies. And that should be everything about Harumasa. If you enjoyed this video, remember to give it a like, and if you're looking for more Zenless Zone Zero content, be sure to subscribe as well. As usual, thanks for watching, have a beautiful day, and I'll see you in my next video.